trade-off for emerging economies, including India, between autonomy, growth, and stability, and supply chains will become even more politicized. Scenario 3 is the worst of them. It's a systemic shock cascade. Leverage AI infrastructure, which we spoke about earlier, will expose fragile business models. Financial, technological, and geopolitical shocks amplify each other, feed into each other. And this low probability but high impact outcome will have macro risks even exceeding those that we saw in the wake of 2008. This is the kind of world scenario that we are facing. Therefore, given this world scenario, but given our stellar domestic growth performance and prospects and priorities, how do we therefore prepare ourselves to drive our development Viksit Bharat agenda? And that is section 4. Why Swadeshi matters? Because the nature of the global system has changed. Trade is no longer reciprocal. Markets are no longer neutral, and supply chains have become instruments of state power, and we have seen them in several examples across the world. And therefore, Swadeshi is a legitimate policy instrument in such a world. Countries have to take care of their priorities, and therefore we should not be squeamish about swearing by Swadeshi in this kind of global environment. The conundrums, however, emerging markets face is this. There is going to be a resource crunch, which is reflected in the price of copper, and in the last 1 week, even crude oil prices have begun to firm. So we need to create buffers, whether it is fertilizer, base metals, crude oil, pharmaceutical ingredients. We need to have buffers because supply chains can be disrupted at any point in time, as we saw in the 3 global scenarios. And the other thing, apart from building up buffers, which we need to import in many cases, we also have to appreciate that as the economy grows, per capita income rises, imports will inevitably rise. This is a given. This chart here shows you China's per capita income growth going from nothing to $12,000 in the last 50 years or so. Simultaneously, imports have grown. We look at China as a major exporting power, that is true, but it also imports a lot, 3.3 trillion, including services. So similarly, India going from $2,500 per capita to $20,000 per capita in the next 25 years will also see its imports rise. Therefore, means we have to export or attract capital to pay for it. That's also inevitable. No matter how successful we are with indigenization, this is something that economic history tells us is inevitable. And therefore, currency depreciation that we are witnessing today isn't something unique to India. Countries which have a current account deficit have seen their currencies depreciate. If you look at the performance of currencies since the millennium began, the Indian rupee actually has done quite well. And the performance even since COVID, India is in the same ballpark, not an outlier. So we need to get the breathless headlines about the Indian rupee into perspective. Therefore, at the same time, since we have aspirations to become a major global player, and naturally currency strength and stability is associated with economic rise. But how do we get there? And that is where this survey focuses on, saying that manufacturing strength is a precondition for achieving currency stability and strength. A strong growth in manufacturing exports leads to improved current accounts position, leads to forex reserve accumulation, and therefore gradual strengthening of currency credibility. If you look at today's countries, which are synonymous with stable currency, Switzerland, Germany before the euro happened, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, all of them have a significant manufacturing presence. So achieving manufacturing competitiveness and merchandise goods export growth is critical to to pursue the goal of currency stability and strength. Similarly, the other advantage of doing manufacturing and manufacturing exports is that will pave the way for lower cost of capital. We see a lot of articles in the media and commentary that India's cost of capital is high, it has to come down, and financial deepening is the answer. No, financial deepening is secondary or auxiliary to achieving cost of capital. compared to manufacturing and export surplus. And we have discussed and provided the empirical basis for this in the chapter 3. Productivity-led manufacturing expansion leads to sustained export growth. That in turn turns the current account deficit into a surplus. Currency stability occurs. That lowers the exchange rate depreciation risk premium, leading to a durable decline in capital cost, which further drives manufacturing growth. That is how the virtuous circle gets formed, and therefore financial deepening matters, but not as much as manufacturing exports matters for sustainably lowering the cost of capital. You can read the analysis in chapter 3. Now, these three elements, indigenization, leading to strategic resilience and strategic indispensability, are the three pillars of investment in national strength. So we have to indigenize, there is no doubt, Swadeshi matters, but we have to move on from that to strategic resilience, being able to withstand external shocks, and third, making India irreplaceable in key global value chains. In other words, we have to start with making things at home competitively. In August 2025, in his Independence Day speech, the Honorable Prime Minister said, "Dam kam and dam zyada." In one sentence, he actually has captured the essence of export competitiveness: good quality at affordable prices. So can we make things at home competitively? Second step to that is progress from there to strategic resilience. Can we keep functioning if the world breaks down? That is resilience. And the third step in the process is, can the world keep functioning if we break down? If the answer is no, then we have become strategically indispensable. And that is the goal we should be looking at in the current geopolitical and geostrategic compulsions that we are facing.